Hey guys, welcome back to another Wuthering Waves video. With the game having just released, I'm sure many of us are diving right into it and playing as much as possible. Naturally, at the start of any launch, progression should be everyone's top priority, and one of the focal points of progression is to level up your characters, aka Resonators, as quickly as you can. As with any gacha title, there's a finite number of things you can do at any given point in time, with there usually being a cap on the amount of grinding and subsequent resources you can acquire on a day-to-day basis. In other words, every day, every week, every month counts towards progression, and if you miss one, you're technically never going to make that back. Granted, it's not like you miss a day, it's the end of the world, but if you're serious about getting into Wuwa, it would be in your best interest to get acquainted with all the ways in which you can get character experience. That's what this video is for. I'll be providing you with all known sources of Union and Resonator EXP. For clarity, Resonator experience is what your actual playable characters are based on, while Union experience pertains to your account's overall level. Union level or rank is important for many things, key of which being your ability to increase your Resonator levels beyond a certain point, meaning even if you have the necessary experience and materials to keep ascending your Resonators, if your Union level isn't high enough, you won't be able to. So it's important to be mindful of both. Also take note that some methods are repeatable either on a daily to weekly to monthly basis, and some methods are one time only, which I'll be specifying as I go through each one. Really quickly, while I aim to be as thorough as possible, this will not be an exhaustive list. More ways to find experience are present within the game that are probably too minor to be worth mentioning. And of course, this video is only accounting for version 1, so if you're watching this in the future, there might be new methods implemented. One of the most consistent ways to farm Union and Resonator experience is your daily activities, Wuwa's version of dailies if it wasn't apparent. Daily activities range from completing dungeons to tuning echoes, crafting items, anything that takes a small amount of effort to complete. But when you do so, you get a nice chunk of premium currency, aka astrites, and some leveling materials. Above all else, you want to do this first thing upon logging in. It shouldn't take that much time. Basically the same amount of time it takes to do your daily commissions for you Genshin players out there. No more than 10 to 15 minutes. Next one should be pretty obvious, but do every single quest you come across, not just the main story one. The main story quest obviously gives you the most amount of leveling materials, but do make sure to also partake in the companion, side, and exploration quests. In order of importance, companion missions offer the highest amount of materials, though I certainly hope so as they're usually pretty long, but enjoyable nonetheless. Exploration and side quests offer roughly the same amount of materials in proportion to how long they take to complete. This will be your main way to farm experience in the early game since daily missions and other methods are usually time-gated. Mind you, these quests can only be completed once, but just like at the start of any gacha, you have to take anything and everything you can get, no matter how small. A good way to find as many quests as you can is to start by reaching every possible corner of the map. That entails unlocking every resonance beacon and nexus you can find. And then, as the game continues to update, you'll find more and more. Okay, on to the next method, Drifting Inscription. This is your, beginner progression checklist. A set of achievements and challenges that give rewards as you learn more and more about the game. You'll find yourself completing many of these without even intending to, but once you get to stage 4 and so on, you should check to see what you have left to complete, since for a few, you have to actively work towards them. So make sure you take care of that as soon as possible. Next method, and one that will be part of your progression, really until the end of time, is the simulation training in the Forgery Challenge category of the guidebook. Here you can farm all manner of materials by consuming Waveplates, which is this game's stamina system. It replenishes at a rate of 1 per 6 minutes or 10 per hour, totaling 240 per day. Expectedly, anything that consumes energy in this game will give you Union experience as well. And it should go without saying that ideally you never want to be capped at 240 as you no longer will generate Waveplates. Unlike other sources where the amount of experience you obtain is a fixed amount, the rewards in simulation training and by extension all Waveplate dungeons will scale in line with your Union level. So while one would assume it's better to wait until higher Union levels to start farming these dungeons, at the same time you do need to get Union experience to get there, and Waveplate consumption is one of the only repeatable ways to do so. Though because of that, I would advise waiting until after you have exhausted all other methods before you start aiming for experience. Focus on other things you can use Waveplates on that can't be obtained elsewhere, like ascension materials from bosses. Overworld bosses also give you Resonator experience through collection rewards, so pragmatically you don't have any reason to do the sim training until higher Union ranks. Continuing on with the next method, we have the item exchange or the shop. Anytime you pull for units, you're given additional currency in the form of Oscillate Coral and Afterglow Coral. You can redeem them in the exchange for numerous items, tides, materials, shell credits, and of course, resonance potions. You can buy up to 80 per month, which may not seem like a lot, but with how scarce resources are in this game, it bears repeating that every little bit counts. If you plan on spending any amount of money on the game, you should have no trouble affording resonance potions every month. Even for free-to-plays, you'll find plenty of astrites and free pulls through quests and events, so definitely check on the item exchange. For you spenders out there, feel free to check out the bundle section if you're in a pinch. For Lunites, Wuwa's premium currency, you can find a selection of bundles offering materials to aid in your progression. Most players advise against buying these as, understandably, experience and shell credits are not as important as pulling for characters and weapons. I spend a decent amount on gachas, frivolously on many occasions, but even I don't find myself pressed for materials enough to want to buy these. For the sake of thoroughness, in the event there are players who have the wherewithal and desire to do so, I feel like it's worth mentioning. That being said, the Bundles tab also gives you free packs every time you reach a certain Union level, which you can find by clicking on the Level Gift Pack tab. Do not miss these as you go through your progression. Moving forward, the next place you can get experience is through overworld exploration. As with most open world games, scattered throughout the environment are supply chests that you can find, ranging in quality from basic to standard to advanced. These chests often contain a plethora of materials for you, giving you a big incentive to explore as much of the world as possible, especially since they also provide Union experience, and no small amount. That stuff adds up. There are hundreds of these things all throughout the world, even with just a base version 1.0 game. More pressing, however, are title heritages. These are overworld challenges where upon defeating enemies, you can interact with them to acquire materials. You can think of them as just glorified supply chests. Incidentally, Wuwa also has floating entities that will lead you to goods, very reminiscent of Sealies and Genshin. The issue is their actual names escaping me at the moment, so my friend I Went to Lose Gaming suggested we call them Wheelies. And I don't know about you, but I'm honestly gonna keep calling them that even after I find out what their real name is. In short, be sure to keep out for all those things as you explore. Better yet, if you see anything that stands out in the overworld that isn't a plant or animal, just go find out what it is. Anything that moves or looks shiny, basically. Next method will be Tower of Adversity. Because I can't think of any other way to describe it, Tower is Wuthering's equivalent to Spiral Abyss and Memory of Chaos, wherein you go through a series of fights and challenges to obtain rewards. It's gonna take too long to go in depth on how it works. In fact, I think Tower of Adversity needs a completely separate video, but this is one of the cornerstones of Wuthering Waves' endgame. For a brief rundown, Tower has 3 zones: Stable, Experimental, and Hazard. Hazard being the aforementioned endgame. With Hazard zones resetting every so often, this will be a cyclical source of asteroids and other rewards. Completing the zones will also give you a special currency known as Deep Records, which can be taken to the point store located within the shop. Here you can buy a wide variety of highly useful ingredients, but with this video being all about experience, this is one more way to do so. Moving on, let's talk about tactical holograms, yet another aspect of Wuwa's endgame. Holograms are essentially overworld bosses with adjustable difficulties independent of your Union level, meaning if you're psychotic enough, you could make an attempt at taking on difficulty 6 with a level 20 Resonator. I mean, it is doable considering you theoretically can go through an entire boss fight without taking damage once, but regardless. First-time completions of these holograms award you with drill data, another currency you can redeem in the point store for materials. To my knowledge, you can only obtain drill data once, so after you use it, there's nothing left, unless of course they plan to reset the shop and allow you to reacquire drill data. However, as of making this video, it's a one-time thing. My goodness, there's a lot of stuff, and it's only a version 1 release. I can't imagine what they'll be cooking up for future updates. Anyway, let's keep trucking on. The next place of interest is the depths of Illusive Realm. Once more, since I can't think of any other way to describe it, just for the sake of making it easier to understand and not for comparison, this is effectively Wuwa's equivalent of Simulated Universe in Honkai Star Rail, a roguelike experience that has you go through a series of rooms and collect random buffs and such to increase your team's strength. It's a separate game mode that doesn't use Waveplate energy whatsoever, so you can do this on the side. On a monthly interval, the elusive specimens you collect can be redeemed in the shop, containing asteroids, leveling and tuning materials, some echoes even. There should be enough currency available for you to clear out most of the shop every cycle, so be sure to incorporate this into your monthly routine. Now, I personally haven't been able to try this game mode out too much, but recounts from other players have said that the Elusive Realm is more of a mid to late game thing, as it's unlocked at Union rank 30, so you won't have access to this for a short while, but once you do, be sure to clean out the shop as often as you can. Seems like a really fun system. I always found Simulated Universe and its harder difficulties to be a really fun experience, but implementing real-time action combat into that sounds even more enjoyable. 3 more to go, I think. Next one's going to be the Pioneer Podcast, Wuthering Waves' Battle Pass system. You know the drill by now. You complete daily and weekly missions to gain Battle Pass experience and then get rewards. They have a free version with a fair amount of goodies, but if you buy the Insider channel, aka the paid version, you get even more rewards, including special weapons. I think most people can agree that if you do plan to spend a few dollars here and there, easily the best bang for your buck would be the Battle Pass. You effectively reimburse your purchase through the pulse it gives you in the bottom half, and then adds the extra stuff on top of it. In my opinion, the Battle Pass is the one thing I would recommend free-to-play to put $10 towards, if nothing else. The sheer volume of resources you can get from the bottom half will greatly expedite your progress. Ultimately, the Battle Pass is not mandatory, you can still get by on just the free stuff, but for only $10 a month or so, you can get so much extra material to work with. Like I said, during the early stages of progression, you'll be spread very thin trying to level up a bunch of characters at the same time. Maybe towards the end game when you already have your units maxed out, then you can pass on this, but even so, I would get this every time. Up next is the Relic Merchant. The Relic Merchant is an NPC that gives you chunks of rewards every time you give him a certain number of antiques. Very simple, it's a lot like the Elemental Oculus you find in Genshin where you exchange them to the statues of the 7 for free stuff. Not something I would put in high priority, but you still should add that to your checklist for overworld exploration. Last but not least, we have your Souvenir Shop. The Souvenir Shop's an NPC you'll find in the main Jinzhou city where by using wood grain fragments you can buy stuff, recipes, materials, credits, pulls, and experience. Wood grain fragments are just another one of those things you naturally accumulate over time. Supply chest, heritage, exploration, and whatnot. I don't think you have to go out of your way to collect this stuff, you just collect it by playing. Of course, remember to spend them. I sometimes forget to cash in my gift shop currency in Genshin and HSR because I forget they even exist. Alrighty, that sums up all the major ways you can acquire Resonator experience and Wuthering Waves as of version 1, including most of the ways in which you can obtain Union experience. If you feel like there's anything of import that I neglected to mention, feel free to share it in the comments down below. That'll be it for today though. I hope everyone's having a wonderful first week of Wuthering Waves. I'm gonna get back to work making more content, so if you found this guide helpful, a like and subscribe would be very much appreciated. Consider following me on Twitter at Vars, joining my Discord server, and checking out my video on 5 characters that I think are worth keeping an eye on. But till next time, thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.